My name's Ellen Remmer. I am one of the co-founders of Invest for Better and delighted to welcome you here today. I want to introduce some of my colleagues who are also on the call, and you will be hearing from some of them later as we go through this hour together. So Jasmine Tangay has been the one that's been talking so far, our program director, and she's somebody who does everything here and manages the circles. Janine Firpo is my co-founder, and you'll be hearing much more about her later and from her later. And our newest team member is Ann Yoders, who has just stepped in as our marketing and outreach manager. So we are thrilled to have you here. The purpose of today is to give you a better sense of what it's like to be an Invest for Better leader, circle leader, and to answer the question, is this for you? And are you ready to jump in, hopefully into this cohort or possibly into a later cohort? So the agenda is, as you can see there, we're going to tell you a little bit more about the circle experience. You're going to hear from some former leaders. I believe some of them have joined the call. We put out a call to see if folks would just step in and tell you all directly a little bit about what the experience has been like. We'll go through the curriculum. We'll talk about what resources and supports you get as a leader. And then we're hoping to leave a good amount of time for Q&A and next steps, because we know everybody's got their own personal questions about whether this is something that works for you. Next slide. So Invest for Better is a 501c3 nonprofit. It was begun as a project at the Philanthropic Initiative where I used to be, and really launched in collaboration with a number of field leaders. And then we spun it off about a year ago with Janine. And our mission is to empower women to understand the power of their investments, learn how to align them with their values, and activate them for a more just and sustainable world. I want to talk a little bit about how Janine and I came together. We had been introduced by a like-minded person and just immediately realized that we shared some similarities in our personal stories and certainly in our passion around this particular mission. We both had this experience in different ways of committing our time, philanthropy, often our jobs, to trying to make the world a better place, and recognized at some point or through multiple touch points that while we were doing all of this, our investments were sometimes in complete violation and were undermining what we were trying to do, and that we were leaving power on the table, and that could be activated, and increasingly, as there are more options available, could be activated in support of what we cared about, in support of our values. And we both found when we recognized this, that we encountered obstacles in making the changes we wanted to make. Personally, I had trouble getting my advisor to change, and so I had to change advisors. Janine has her own story. But so part of Invest for Better reflects our personal stories, which is to make it easier for all of us, and to have community with one another to support you as you're on this journey. For Janine, her next step, as we talked through what we were about, was to write this book, Activate Your Money, and you're going to hear a little bit more about it later, and our curriculum is based on that. And for me, it was, again, with other field leaders, we launched Invest for Better and started with these circles as one of our strategies, and the circles took off. Next slide. So what are Invest for Better circles? So we all know the circle model is a tried and true a model that's been used for eons, and particularly amongst women. So they are intimate groups. It says here 8 to 20. Some of them have been as small as 4. 20 is probably the max that we recommend because it's a whole different kind of experience. But they typically have been, I'd say, in the 8 to 12 size. The group, the circle, we help the circle and the circle leader facilitate and lead a 6-month core curriculum. Curriculum, I put in quotations, but it's really a scaffolding for you to work with, and ongoing learning opportunities. So the curriculum, as I said before, is It was not originally this way, but we changed it this year, and it's very exciting. We've structured the curriculum around Janine's book, Activate Your Money, Invest to Grow Your Wealth and Build a Better World, which was kind of perfectly structured for that. And we had a woman named Jill Bamberg, who used to run the Bainbridge Graduate Institute, who's an amazing educator, who helped convert it into a curriculum for you all. In addition to the 6-month curriculum, we have optionally, there are twice a month activation sessions with content experts on a variety of topics, from crypto to fixed assets to how do you talk to your children about money, and monthly Ask the Expert sessions where you can ask any kind of question. We also have these optional post-circle or even in parallel 3-month deep dive sessions, again focused on specific topics. Some of them are asset classes, cash, when it might be on an investment lens. We're going to be doing something on gender lens and racial lens investing, or other topic. So there's the curriculum.
Hi, is Tom working today?
Oops. You'll get her. There's the curriculum, and then there's a process to help you, you and your circle members clarify your goals, get advice, and share investment ideas in the circles. And the whole idea is that you're building a powerful community of trust, because that's what circles do. And that what we're designing this for is that the community of trust is both within your small circle that you have, but also within the cohort of circles that are being run, because we typically support leaders in running these circles in cohorts. Next slide. So why lead a circle? You'll each have your own reason, but we want to just share some of the reasons that other circle leaders have said that they did it. And you'll be hearing again from some circle leaders today. For some, they may actually be in the early stages, just poised and ready to deepen or begin their own investing knowledge and put your money to work for a better world. So there's nothing like being responsible for leading to have you to deepen your own knowledge. For some, it's around wanting to find that community of peers and being willing to build it, invite their friends and colleagues, meet some new folks. For some, it's, they're ready to put money to work. So it's developing a network, a long-term network to source and share investment ideas. And then for many, and we ask leaders why they decided to do it. And there's a lot of you who are champions, who just believe strongly in advancing in the mission and the movement of advancing women's financial literacy and growing values-aligned investing in your local community and beyond. Next slide. So you also get some benefits from leading the circle besides all of those. We will help you. I'd say, I don't know, Jasmine, you might be able to correct me on this. Maybe half the circles are solo led and half the circles people choose to co-lead with somebody else. And you can either come in with your co-lead or we can help you find a co-lead. You get Invest for Better this year became a membership organization. We make it very accessible because we really believe in the democratization of values-aligned investing. So folks are asked to pay $100, and but as a leader, we appreciate what you do and your leadership, and so that's free. In addition to the value of the annual membership, we also have partnerships with some other fantastic organizations, which are worth about $1,500 in terms of all of that. So Values Advisor and ASBN. So you also get a copy of the book, Activate Your Money. Everybody who becomes a member gets a copy of the book. You get that as well as a toolkit that helps you as a circle leader and other resources on our online platform. And then there are 2 training sessions to help you get started with running your circle. And then there are monthly cohort check-ins, optional, that you can participate in. And those are also, all of those are taped. So if it's an inconvenient time, it's certainly available. Next slide. Results to date. We are in the midst of our 4th cohort right now, each with 15 to 30 circles that each have anywhere from, 6 to 20 people. We've had about 80 circles, over 100 circle leaders, and we've had 800 circle members. The assessments from our first 3 cohorts showed average participant satisfaction has been close to 9 out of 10. And then percentage of members who actually moved money during that 6-month period has been a little over 40%. Which is great, people getting started. And then there's certainly a good percentage more who are in the stages of, finding an advisor, expanding their network, doing due diligence.
Great.
So leaders love leading. And we just wanted to share with you a little bit from some of the leaders, and we're going to ask those in the Zoom room who have been leaders if they might speak in a few minutes as well. But here's just a couple of quotes from people who have been leaders, just about how much fun it can be, how personally satisfying it can be. And I know for me, and I've been a co-lead on 2 circles, and it really is so exciting when people start to understand what they actually own. Like, they haven't really not looked at their investment assets before, and they didn't know what they own. They handed it over to somebody and gave them blah, 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 and they recognize it, and they start asking questions, and they start making changes. And we just believe strongly that this will ripple out as more women do this. Here's another perspective, that what's great about it is it's organic. You can adjust it as you want. It's, member led, and it's something where everybody learns a lot, even the leaders as well as the circle members.
Great. So at this point, we're going to invite some former leaders to just say maybe a minute or two about why they led and what the experience was like for them. So Babby, you came in first. So I was just wondering if you'd like to speak for a minute or two. Babby was in our January 2022 cohort, the first one to do the new curriculum, and she's just been dynamite. So tell us about it, Babby.
Oh, thanks so much, Jasmine and Ellen and Janine, for this amazing program. I joined selfishly because even though I am an impact investor and live and breathe this, I had a lot to learn, and I still do. So selfishly, I've learned so much. I had a group of 20 women in my circle, and I missed them. So our circle ended, and I'm planning to reconvene and see if anybody wants to get together in the fall, because so many people have said they want to continue these conversations. And I'm sorry, there's a sanitation truck outside my window, so sorry for the noise. I also have the pleasure of leading, working with a group, not leading, because we're not leaders. We just get to participate right along with everyone on angel investing. And I'll tell you, we had a 2.5-hour conversation last night, and none of us wanted it to end, because where else can you have these kind of conversations that are so frank and so from the heart, and really explore these things together, because it takes a lot of work. So I've loved being a part of it. And I can tell you that the activation, the series, Ask the Expert, have been phenomenal. To have this kind of access to this level of experts and thought leaders is, I know of no other place where we can do this. So I'm a huge believer, and wish there were more of us. I will tell a quick anecdotal story that Janine heard me tell this morning, but we had a candidate debate here in Brooklyn, where I live, because it was a contested debate, and several of the candidates got called out for what they were holding in their stock portfolios. So, and they had to admit in front of thousands of us that they really didn't know what they owned. So, and they all made a commitment to call their advisors the next day. So that's it from me. I'm a huge believer in this work.
Thank you so much, Babby. That angel investing course that she mentioned is one of the brand new deep dives that we just started this summer, and will continue every 3 months. And you'll be able to take advantage of those on whatever topics you're most interested in. So we also have Lisa Dyson, who I think has led twice now. So Lisa, tell us a bit about that experience for you.
Yeah, so I've been a co-leader twice. I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina. I've co-led with the same co-leader, someone that I did not know before, but Ellen sort of helped match us up together, and it's worked out really well. So I've led once under the new curriculum. So I guess one of the things that attracted me to this organization is that it's a nonprofit. It's not trying to sell you something. I think it's often hard to get financial information without someone having sort of an agenda at the end. We'll give you this information, but really we want you to try to, invest in this vehicle at the end of it. So that impartial nonprofit was really attractive to me. I'm not a financial advisor, so don't feel that you need to be, have a particular expertise to be a co-leader. I have been on kind of my own impact investing journey for several years, and this was a really great way to share some of the things that I've learned, but also, as Babby said, kind of continue my own learning and, sort of force myself to dedicate time and space to, work on my own portfolio. The new curriculum that they have is very easy to follow along. It's very structured. It follows Janine's book, but it also you also can kind of tailor it to your group if you need to. So this most recent time, we had our group was really already quite sophisticated investors, which was not true with my first cohort. So we were able to kind of add additional things, bring in, we had like little mini workshops, hands-on demonstrations of websites and tools and that sort of thing. So it's structured, but also has some freedom if you want to be. And I've also loved being a co-leader and working with someone else. My co-leader and I kind of balance each other out well. She is a financial advisor, but I have more of a background in group facilitation and things like that. So really worked out well in that way. So if you're kind of hesitant, if you have the background knowledge, I would say don't worry about that. There's a lot of training support to be able to do that.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. And Lisa's co-lead, Caitlin Appleton, is also here, just joined us. Caitlin, do you want to say hello in a few words?
Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlin Appleton. And as Lisa said, we co-led a circle this year. We actually also co-led one last year. So I just hopped on. I don't know what the question was or if I should be addressing a certain topic or not, Jasmine.
What brought you to lead and how has it been for you?
Okay, so what brought me to lead was I was first a participant in a circle and I really got so much out of it. I learned so much, even though I do work in investments. There was so much knowledge out there that I was able to garner from the women in my circle. And I love the collaborative aspect of Invest for Better. And I just wanted to share it forward and teach other women what I was learning about. So that's really how I got involved as a leader.
Wonderful.
And I continue to learn as a leader from my circles. So I think it's a circle that keeps rolling forward, if you will.
Wonderful. We also have a 4-minute video. We're not going to show it right now, but if you haven't seen it, it's a compilation of leader testimonials from last year and before we changed the curriculum, but some very interesting sentiments. And I think I've shared the link and it's on the Call for Circle Leaders sheet at the bottom. So if you haven't seen that, take a look when you get a chance. Okay, so now we're going to turn it over to Janine to talk a little bit about the curriculum.
Great, thanks, Jasmine. Hi, everyone. And I'm seeing a question from Catherine. Catherine, it is either or. So Catherine is asking whether these circles are in person or online. When they started out, they were in person. Actually, that was the original intention. As you can imagine, with COVID, everything changed and they all moved online. And at this point, they are whatever you want. So if you wanted to do something that was more intimate in person, that's totally fine. If you want to do something 100% online, that's totally fine. And if you want to do some sort of hybrid, which some people did, that's also an option. So whatever works best for you and the women that you bring together in your circle is fine. Okay, so starting with Activate Your Money, some of you may be familiar with this book. I'll just give you a little sense of why I wrote it in the first place and then how it came to be part of the curriculum. So my work in the world was very much around poverty and making a change internationally. And at some point in what turned out to be a more than 20-year career, I realized that my money was actively working against what I was doing in my day-to-day life. And I made a personal commitment to figure out how to move all of my money, starting with my cash, into alignment with my values. And I've been on that journey for over a decade, and it has been a hard and uphill battle, even though I had financial advisors who were supposedly specialists in this space. And so I retired from that career, shockingly, almost 5 years ago. And when I retired, I took more control over my own money and started to realize we had reached a point where anyone should be able to invest in a way that speaks to their heart and in a way that speaks to what matters to them in the world. And I learned that as women, the vast majority of us want to know that. Nobody was helping us do it, though. And so I decided to write this book. And the great thing about the book was that I didn't write it alone. I actually had a lot of help. So I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial professional, but I had over 40 women who write early versions of these chapters. And I had a total of over 150 women who helped me write the book. And just so that you know, I make this promise in the book, and the promise that I make to Invest for Better is that any profit that comes from this book, any profit that comes from speaking I do, any profit that comes from anything I do related to this work is all going back into the work. So I'm not making anything off the book. It's there really to serve. We had a third woman who got involved with us for a while by the name of Jill Bamberg, who is an adult educator by trade. That's what she did for her entire career. And she wrote the curriculum for us around the book. So she took what I wrote in the book, and the curriculum, the 6-month curriculum that you go through really only touches on the first part of the book, not the entire book. But it's there as a tool, and the deep dives are going deeper into different sections. So the book is written in 3 parts. I'm not going to belabor the point, but the middle part of the book is really the most important. And it literally goes asset class by asset class and explains to you what it is, how it works, and how you can align your money with your values in that asset class. And what an asset class is a classification of a type of investment. So cash alternatives, bonds, stock market, private investing, and all kinds of alternatives. And it also talks about philanthropy and how even your philanthropy can be aligned with the rest of your investments. So that's the book. Everyone gets a copy of it. And it was really a work of love on the part of a lot of women. Go ahead, Jasmine, next slide. This is the curriculum that you will go into in the first 6 months. We start with explaining what this is. What do we mean when we talk about values aligned investing, and why is it so important to us as women? You may not realize this, but by 2030, we women are going to control the majority of money in this country. Okay, step into that for a minute. The problem is that we give away that control and that power to other people to make investment decisions for us. And those other people are often men, and they don't invest the way we do. So if we step into our power and we start investing in the things that matter to us, like our local communities and uplifting other women, and not investing in things we don't want to see amplified in the world, we can literally have the power to change the economy into a more just and sustainable economy. That's what we have as a possibility. And so we talk about that and why this matters. Then we go into a conversation about how we think about our money, how we've been trained around our money, and why so many of us shy away from taking control of our money. We help you go through a quiz where you figure out your own financial archetypes and the things that stop you or help you around your money. And then we go into this conversation of, well, what do you actually own? And we help you go through the process of figuring that out together, and then comparing what you own. Now, I want to be very clear that you can go through years of our programming and never have to divulge how much money you're worth. That is not part of this conversation. What this conversation is about is the choices you're making and where you're investing and what you're investing in and what's working for you and what's not working for you. But you never have to divulge anything in any of these conversations that feel uncomfortable to you. So just keep that in mind. And this asset allocation conversation is around percentages of assets, not how much is in different buckets. Then once we learn what we own, we take you through a process of figuring out and how values aligned is the content, the investments that you currently have, and what tools can you use to more readily understand what's in your investments. We have you go through a process of actually creating something called an investment policy statement, which is a document you create that defines your investment approach, what you want to invest in, what matters most to you, what kinds of returns you want, what asset allocation goals you have, and so on. And we really explain that to you in detail. And this is a tool you can either use yourself or with a financial advisor to help drive your future investment decisions. And the final part of the first 6 months is about finding a values-aligned financial advisor if you want one. And then after you go through the first 6 months, we've already referenced these deep dives, and you can then have sort of a choice. They're like electives. They are courses that we will be offering sometimes every quarter, sometimes a course may be only offered once every 6 months or once a year, but you can choose, what do you want to learn next? If you want to learn about your stock portfolio and how to make sure that that's values aligned, do you want to learn about angel investing and find other women to do that with? Do you want to learn about how to make sure your money is invested in a with a racial consciousness around it, or with a gender consciousness, or with a climate consciousness? So these are all additional courses that you can take as you go forward. Next slide, please. When you go into, the way that this works is each month, you and the members of your circle will have homework. The homework is usually about an hour, and this will prepare you for a conversation or a set of exercises that you will carry out together in your meeting. The meetings tend to be about an hour and a half. If you're meeting in person, they may be a little bit longer because you are going to have dinner, or you're going to get together in some way socially before you start getting down to the work. But there'll generally be a reading assignment. There will be videos that you listen to. There may be worksheets that you fill out. There may be spreadsheets that you fill out, and so on. You do all of this before the meeting. And then as a leader, you will have, go ahead, next slide, Jasmine, please. You will have a document with cues as to what you could talk about in that meeting. And there'll be some things where you start out in large groups and you talk about certain overarching results of the homework and what you read. We recommend, although not everybody does this, but we recommend that you break down into smaller groups to go into a deeper conversation about particular aspects of the homework that you did, and then come back into the larger group to report back. Depending on your group size, you may want to do this in this structured way, or you may just want to stay in the large group the whole time and have these conversations. But you will be given materials to help guide and facilitate those conversations. Next slide. And then at the end of each meeting, there's just a little bit of tidying up to do, which is letting people know about any other resources that are available. And we provide you with all of this information. Every month, we're having 2 speakers who talk on a variety of different topics. We've had everything from our first speaker was a woman named Amy Dominy, who has been a leader in the socially responsible investing space for over 30 years and came up with the first socially responsible index. to somebody who's talking about cryptocurrency and everything in between. So we try to bring you speakers who are talking about issues that are relevant to you, that are introducing products and services that you might want to participate in, and so on. And we do those every 2 a month, and we ask you to highlight those to your members so that they know what's coming up. And we also have Ask the Expert sessions once a month, which is a financial advisor who will get on Zoom and answer any question that you have in a very private conversation. None of those Ask the Expert sessions are videoed, so you can ask anything you want. And then after you go through the first initial curriculum, as I said, your circle can stay together and go into a deep dive together, or your circle can split apart and make different choices about what they learn next. But even the deep dives are happening in a circle kind of format, because we really think that these conversations with each other is enlightening. And I can tell you that even though I wrote the book and did a lot of research on that, and I've been teaching myself about investing for over 30 years and have been an investor for over 30 years, I still learn every time I'm in a conversation, every time I'm in an Ask the Expert session, every time I listen to one of these activation sessions, I'm still learning, and I've been learning this for a long time. So there is really rich content and really rich opportunity here for you to really take your investing know-how to the next level.
Okay. Thanks, Janine. So one of the things that's so special about the Invest for Better model is this cohort experience. When we first started, there was a toolkit, a handbook, and leaders would go off and do this fairly independently. But we realized that we could really enrich the experience by convening leaders in groups to kind of move together throughout the process, the 6-month process. And so it's designed to really provide you with resources and support and community as you go through this. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about what we provide in the way of information and support to get you through all of this. And one point that has been made, but I just want to emphasize again, is that there is no topical expertise or experience required at all in financial topics of any kind. This curriculum is designed to be accessible to your members, where they're going to be consuming information directly themselves, and you're going to be you as a leader are convening meetings and conversations, but you're not teaching, you're not instructing any of this material. They are getting it directly from the book and from the materials that we provide. So if you're hesitating at all because you don't think you've got the right background or training for this, if you're good at pulling people together, you've got what it takes for this. We provide a leader toolkit, which is kind of just an all-in-one manual for the leader experience. And if you've signed up and filled out the form to become a leader for this fall, we've sent you a link to this PDF. All of this material is also found on our online platform, broken out into smaller pieces. But if you like having a printable document or just a place to look, you can find it in the toolkit. It's got meeting plans, it's got discussion questions for every meeting, links to all the materials and worksheets. So it's all in there in this PDF book. And then we have something called the Mighty Network, which is our membership platform. And we use this as a place for all of the Invest for Better community to gather, but we also have special areas for various subgroups, and you as a leader get access to something called the Leader Knowledge Hub. And that's where the curriculum in a special form that's designed for leaders lives, and you'll get access to these same meeting plans with instructions for facilitating each of the meetings, and then links to all of the materials. Your members will also get links to the materials, so you're not responsible for sending out these to them every month. Some leaders do choose to do that, just as a reminder to make it extra easy for their members, or if you have members who just aren't especially technologically savvy, you can do that. But this is set up so that people can access things directly. We also have private groups on different topics, and different cohorts so that they can converse together, and an event calendar and access to all of the Zoom links that we pull together. And then if you don't have a paid Zoom account, we can help you with that if needed. Just wanted to mention that because it's important to have it if you're going to do a virtual group, especially the breakout group functionality if you have a larger group. And then in terms of ongoing support, we do have this private leader group in Mighty Network, so you can ask questions of each other. We have monthly cohort meetings to debrief how it's been going, how the last meeting was, and plan for the next meeting. You can attend those live, and you can also access them, access the recordings if you're unable to make them. We also have just ongoing support over email or Mighty Networks chat if you have any questions or just need anything. One of the biggest challenges is recruitment, of course. If you don't already have in mind a group of women to bring into your circle, you might be wondering, well, how am I gonna find those folks, and how am I gonna tell them about this? We do provide like a sample invitation and some other materials, social media posts and that sort of thing for you. We are also going to have a prospective member information session, kind of like the member version of what we're doing today in September, so that folks you reach out to can come and hear directly from us and from other members what this is all about. And then we often have folks who join Invest for Better looking for a circle, who don't know any leaders and don't have a circle yet, who we can connect with you. So you know, some leaders come in with folks from their own network, and others come in with very few of those people and are primarily introduced to folks by us, and have a group made up of women that they don't know. And some people prefer it that way. So either of those options is possible. I just want to mention the ground rules, because these are something that you get to decide together as a group. But one that's important, I think, for just making people feel comfortable, is that there's always the right to pass. So, you know, as you're talking to people about joining, you know, money is such a taboo topic. Many of us aren't comfortable talking about it. So you never have to share anything that you don't want to, and making sure people know that from the get-go is really important. And obviously confidentiality and privacy, and that this is a no-sell space. Unlike so many other fora for money discussions, nobody's here to sell you anything, which really makes a difference. And just, you know, being supportive of each other, and both teaching and learning as you go, and taking action. Those are all things that are really important to this. So if you're excited about doing this, there are just a few simple next steps that I'll walk you through right now before we break for questions. First thing, if you haven't done it yet, is just fill out a simple registration form that we have online. I will also post this link in the chat so you can easily get to it. And then you'll automatically get a follow-up email, which will have a few important things in it. Next steps, some resources like the toolkit that I mentioned, and a link to what we call the leader commitments form. And that just sort of formalizes our relationship. And once you've agreed and committed to this, we will send you your book and provide you access to the Mighty Network. And then we also encourage you at this stage to think about whether you want a co-leader, who that might be. You don't have to have that figured out right away, but it's worth thinking about a little bit. And also your recruitment strategy. Putting some thought into that now will help you be prepared for September. And then we have our two sort of formal trainings. These are also recorded, but we really encourage you to attend if you're able to, September 8th and September 21st. And then, you know, we'll just continue to support you until your first meeting, and then well beyond that. So in terms of timing, you choose the schedule for your circle. You can choose a date in October that works for you. Ideally, you announce that to your circle in advance so that they know that they're going to be available for it. But sometimes people prefer to do a doodle poll or whatever. But we just want to make sure it's clear that these meetings don't meet on our schedule, they meet on your schedule. And we really encourage you to start in October, but certainly there have been many cases when leaders, for whatever reason, get off schedule a little bit, and that's fine. So we'll continue our monthly meetings, assuming that you did start in October. And so it's best to stay with us that way. But again, if that isn't possible, don't let that keep you from leading. We have a lot of flexibility built in that way. And then I just wanted to go through what the process is like to join a circle. So this isn't something you'll do, but this is what your members will do. So this is so you'll understand that in your early thinking about recruitment. So what they do is they fill out a registration form, and then we send them a link, and then they go to the Mighty Network and make $100 contribution, tax deductible. And we also want to mention that scholarships can be confidentially requested on the registration form if needed. The leader doesn't even need to know that that person did it. They just need to indicate that on the form, and we'll be in touch with them. So once that happens, they get access to the Mighty Network, and they've got the ability to access the curriculum, to attend events, to communicate and converse with the full Invest for Better community and any interest groups, affinity groups that they're interested in. So if someone joins, a month before their first circle meeting, they can take advantage of a lot of these other benefits even before their first meeting. And then once they've made their contribution, we get their book mailed out. Usually takes about 2 weeks. And we will make available chapter 1 of the book as a PDF to everyone, so that they don't have to wait to get going with the book.